Okay, so today we're going to talk about unexpected pairings. We're going to rank them, just different unexpected pairings that I think are part of that larger trope that tends to be in teen television shows, but I feel like it's also just in there are non-teen versions of this, right? Like the very first thing that comes to my mind is like Beauty and the Beast. Not a teen drama show, right? But it's an unexpected pairing. One of them is like the really powerful one, and then one of them is kind of like the less powerful one. And there are a lot of different variations of this, but I feel like in the 2000s this became a really popular trope, and so I wanted to rank the different unexpected couples that come to mind on my various rewatches. So here's where I think it comes from. I think the idea is like, I've talked about this in previous times, but the idea of like the nerd on screen was fairly new, right? Like that was like their way of subverting high school stories. Like, this person is, you know, weird and not attractive, even though they were like looked like a movie star like the rest of them. It was like, this person's smart, or this person's into comic books. So I think that was like where it started from, is like, oh, we're doing something different. So and the unexpected pairing was like a nerd character that got center screen that was with your more typical aspirational jock cool kid. Okay, this trope is still really popular, but a lot less so now. I think this was like really big in the 2000s. So the examples that I'm going to talk about are Finn and Rachel on Glee, Sam and Cindy from Freaks and Geeks, Seth and Summer, maybe the most like famous example, I feel like, from the OC, and the last one will be Ross and Rachel from Friends. So, and they're obviously not teenagers, but they act like teenagers, so I think they fit very well into this kind of group of unexpected pairings. Okay, when you think of unexpected pairings, like the most, I think, made fun of example, probably for good reason, is She's All That. I love Freddie Prinze Jr. I feel like he's just like such a product of his time. Like, he's so 90s. He just had that like total jock, all-American cool kid thing going on, which is pretty stupid in hindsight. Like, I feel like people make fun of did I say She's All That? Oh my gosh, that's what it's called, right? She's All That. Okay, good. I was worried I said the version with like the Addison Rae movie. I think that's He's All That. She's All That is the traditional one where the jock is like makes a bet with his other cool jock friends that he could turn this super super ugly girl into like homecoming queen or prom queen or something. And the girl is obviously really beautiful, but she wears glasses and her hair's in a ponytail, and she has like overalls with paint on them. So I've seen definitely, like, I don't know if it was SNL skit or, you know what it is, it was probably that Not Another Teen Movie. It was probably that like parody. I think it leans super super heavily on She's All That because it is just it is 2000s to the max. And that kind of unexpected pairing idea is like the whole central point of the movie. Can someone who's not, a status symbol and someone who is, can they have enough in common to like make a relationship work? That's what we're going off of today. I think there is something really funny about this dynamic, especially for a television show, because there's so many different scenarios in which people from different social circles can interact and like have conflict, even if at the core, it's like there's a connection and there's a love story there. So we're gonna start with Finn and Rachel. I gotta say, with everything on Glee, it makes less sense even on a rewatch than it did the first time around. Like, Glee makes me laugh so much because I watched it when I was kind of young, and not only are the actors legitimately pushing 30 as high school juniors, they also just like, the writing of the show was so odd, and I love it for so many ways. I guess kind of an honorable mention is Will and Emma. Will Schuster, the teacher of the Glee Club, and Emma, the guidance counselor, who's like very OCD. And they're kind of another unexpected pairing in a way. I feel like they're very much like a older version of Finn and Rachel. Like, they're supposed to kind of follow that same trajectory. The thing that really made me realize that is I was rewatching an episode where Gwyneth Paltrow is Holly Holiday. She's like the cool, spunky substitute teacher who's like really sexy and out there and fun, and definitely like the opposite of Emma. And this is at the same time, so Will is dating her when Finn is dating Quinn, the blonde like cheerleader. Quinn's my favorite character, by the way. I definitely need to have some sort of conversation where we talk about Quinn and like why she's so amazing, because I just love her. And I also feel like she doesn't get enough credit. And the whole show is kind of based upon the premise of an unexpected pairing of what if Finn doesn't want to be with the beautiful blonde cheerleader, and instead he wants to be with like the weird singing girl who wears tights. That's like literally the whole show, I feel like. So I think they're a great candidate for this category. They do this thing on Glee, which I think is so funny. It's just like, I think because it's a show and they can't get the same interiority that a book can get, where they will have like, so it's like Finn and Rachel are like sitting in the auditorium or something working on a song, and then all of a sudden it cuts to the hallway, zooms out where Quinn is like watching them, and like the look on her face, she's like, oh, he wants to be with her, even though they're literally just sitting and talking normally, and he's dating me. It's like, oh, they're destined to be together. And the same exact thing happens with Will and Emma. They're like in the cafeteria, or no, like the teacher's lounge eating their lunches, and then it zooms out to the hallway to Holly Holiday, where she's just like, and then later that episode, she like breaks up with him because she's like, you're in love with someone else. Like they're literally just sitting there talking as like two coworkers eating, but like, you know, that was the show, right? It's all about that pull and that like unexpected pair. So Finn and Rachel, the reason why they make no sense to me is because they kind of just like are one of those shows where they tell you that Finn and Rachel like each other and you just have to believe it. Like, I don't get why they like each other. I mean, Finn like wants to be different. He like wants to be a singer, and so Rachel's a singer. So like they allude several times to like, oh, Rachel and her darn talent, like stealing Finn away with her talent. So I'm like, is talent supposed to equal love in this scenario? Like he just sees that she's such a talented singer and it makes him love her. Like that's not something that makes sense to me, but okay. And the same thing for Rachel and Finn. It's like, is she just longing for somebody to like make her feel wanted, and like a cool popular guy makes her feel wanted? Like, okay, like that doesn't, it doesn't feel specific to them as individuals, which in some ways is kind of nice. Like I feel like that is the quirkiness of Glee. You're just supposed to accept the fact that these kids, they get along, they like each other, they're just these two teenagers from Ohio, like they're not that different, like they just have a crush on each other. I can kind of buy into that, but definitely as a teenager I was like, oh, this is the greatest love story, and now I'm like, I don't get why they are dating. But I feel like they lean into the fact that they are so different, and that's supposed to be what kind of like pushes them forward, and they like appreciate each other's differences. So I do think they're really sweet. I think their chemistry is also so good, which makes sense because I know they were a couple in real life. Rest in peace, Corey Monteith. But yeah, that's my first pair. I'm gonna rank them all at the end because I have to like see them all in a group to like really appreciate it. So okay, the second one I want to talk about is Seth and Summer. Oh, love Seth and Summer. Another pair that just has like so much good chemistry, and another pair that dated in real life. I don't understand being an actor. I feel like they're always just dating their coworkers. That's weird. Okay, so Seth and Summer from the OC. I actually have the OC right up there. Oh gosh, what a funny show. Not even like one of my favorites necessarily. It's just, again, like such a product of its time. In that book I was reading, The Freaks, Gleeks, and Dawson's Creek, they talk about the OC being sort of like a Trojan horse for teen TV, and I thought this was actually really interesting. So it's very similar to something like 90210. It's about a bunch of kids who live on the beach that are really rich, that have just kind of like rich teen problems. Okay, like, all right. And that's definitely what I thought about the show before I'd seen it. And when I started to watch it, it was all because of Adam Brody's character, Seth Cohen. I'm definitely going to do another little video where I talk specifically about Seth Cohen's character and why he was such a, like, redefining of, like, the heartthrob, because I really think he was. And he kind of carries the show. And by that, I mean a lot of the show works off of those same kind of tropes that any other kind of aspirational, beautiful teen show would go off of, and he is supposed to be the odd one out. He is poised as like our main character, I would say, who doesn't fit in. Okay, he doesn't like the beach. He likes comic books. He's got dark hair. He's Jewish. Like, he's not like this blonde, like, surfer dude. He's supposed to be kind of our represent us as the outsider, as someone looking in on this world. He's super sarcastic. Like, everything that comes out of his mouth and his dialogue is a joke, some kind of sarcasm. And it's really fun because it's like we can kind of make fun of the show while we're watching it with him, and he can kind of represent us. And so I think his character is really cool for that reason. And I think that Seth and Summer really arose from that bantering dynamic. So he's very sarcastic. He's very, like, just, yeah, that nerd. And the Trojan horse element of the show is like they brought in a deeper dynamic, kind of a little bit of a subversive dynamic to this very typical, beautiful show. And you kind of didn't even realize it. And Summer was supposed to be, again, just like a girl in the pilot. She's just supposed to be like Marissa's friend who's like sassy and is just a pretty girl. But because she had such like a spunk to her, she leaned into her comedic timing, and so she was really funny. She kind of, her whole part of her character, she would get like rage blackouts. Like, she would just get so angry and so fired up, and she was just like a really funny character to watch. She did not have like that deadpan cool girl, ugh, whatever. Like, no, she really was a ham. Similar with Seth's character. Like, they really leaned into their, whatever they were given, they were like really gonna do it hardcore. Like, he was gonna be super, you know, cynical and nerdy and make fun of everything else that was going on. And I felt like that was so different. They weren't really trying to blend into the show. They were actually trying to stand out. And I think it made Seth and Summer just like an awesome couple. And I will say, again, on a rewatch, oh my gosh, like, this couple is so crazy. This is the main thing that I kind of want to talk about, which is that this dynamic of like cool person with nerdy person, I think writers were trying to figure out what to do with that. And I think the whole Beauty and the Beast element of it was that one person has power, and that's the popular person. And the nerdy person, they don't have that social standing. Even though they have these really good qualities like being smart or being kind, those aren't valued in high school. And so basically they have nothing, okay? And because of that, there became a weird thing where like the popular person would be dragging their feet about being with the nerdy person, and that would be a whole part of the show that you'd expect. That was normal. And then finally there would be this dynamic shift in which the more popular stereotypical person would be really committed, and then the like nerdy person would have to be flaky and screwed up. And this will happen, I think, in all the other examples that we're going to talk about. It actually happened with Finn and Rachel too. If you remember, Finn like doesn't want to be with Rachel at first. He's kind of stringing her along, typical mean popular guy. But then they get past that hurdle, they fall in love, and she like, I don't know, she like does a bunch of stuff. I feel like she cheats on him at one point. I think that's the biggest thing, and I guess it's maybe not that many things. It kind of feels like they break up a lot, and it feels like it has to do with Rachel being flaky, even though the whole premise of her character was built around her being in love with Finn, and that's all she wanted. And so it's very confusing as a viewer, like, why would she screw it up so quickly? Like, right as soon as they get together for a little bit, she screws it up, and then he, the popular person, ends up looking like, oh wow, like he really learned how to make that commitment. He really figured out what he wanted, and he's the solid, loyal one, and she's like the crazy one who is just kind of keeps screwing it up. I feel really similar about Seth and Summer, honestly. Like, I feel like the show was worried about Summer being the villain, and in some ways she kind of is. Like, she's yelling at him, constantly hitting him all the time. Things that would not fly on TV today. But really, when you look at her character, like, bird's eye view, they're together all of the seasons. I'm pretty sure they're kind of together. Seasons 1 through 4 of the OC. And the first season or so, she's hesitant to be with him, and, you know, that's kind of a knock against her. But then, really from that point on, she is like so loyal to being with him, and the rest, what they have to work through, since the show's already done with the I'm popular and you're not, that only lasts so long, then they have to move on to he just has to have these like inner battles of why he doesn't want to be with her. So what it ends up being is he lies to her over and over and over. Like, he lies to her about another girl who's into him, he lies to her about what college he got into, and they take it to the extreme to draw out the story. And again, they're kind of asking us to rely on the fact that they just love each other. And oh, we know that Seth's always wanted to be with Summer. So even though he does all these things, it's clear that, you know, he loves her and she should be with someone who loves her. You start to question it. You're like, well, I don't think he loves her because his actions are really weird and flaky and not at all like what I would think of as someone who loves somebody else. Whereas Summer is like the very steady one. Like she is always kind of waiting there to be with him. And it's this weird flip of that trope where he ends up to me looking like the really bad guy and she kind of ends up looking pretty good. And so I think in their concern with balancing out that power dynamic, they actually made it swing too far in the other direction. And I think probably the worst example of this, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself with the rankings, but is Ross and Rachel. I love Friends, and I've never loved Friends for Ross and Rachel, like never. I always loved Chandler. I loved Chandler and Monica. I just loved the whole group dynamic. I think like I love Phoebe. Just again a nostalgic show that I loved watching growing up. I watched the reruns, but I think that's a really sweet thing about television and nostalgia TV, which I would definitely love to do a conversation about this too, which is how something can become nostalgic to you when it was not made in your time period because of reruns, because of streaming, because of just television and the way that it is so easy to access little short chunks of media over a long period of time. There's so much content out there that's digestible. I feel like it really like changed the game. Same with New Girl. I did not watch it concurrently, and that's like absolutely one of my nostalgia shows. But anyways, back to Friends. Ross and Rachel are meant to be the couple of the show, and this happens a lot where the main couple, like so much emphasis is put on them that that's not really what people end up walking away with. I think that is true of Friends. I think that is true of the OC, actually. I feel like Melissa and Ryan are kind of an afterthought. Same with like Teen Wolf. I don't even remember any of the characters' names, but I just remember that Dylan O'Brien was the sidekick, and him and his love interest were like kind of the central one that fans really gravitated towards. I guess you could kind of say that about Pacey and Joey, since Dawson and Joey were like not really a fan favorite. So I think it's hard. I think Ross and Rachel, or the writers, are in a situation where they were trying to balance it being the central idea, but by making a show that's sort of like a drama, making a relationship central means you have to keep messing it up over and over and over and breaking them up and doing new things. I think there are more creative ways to do this, and we'll get to that when we talk about Freaks and Geeks. But the general way that you keep a couple at the forefront of your show is by constantly messing with them, and it kind of makes people not like them. Like, I gotta say, season 1 and 2, Ross and Rachel, I love. Like, they're so cute. He's the nerdy one. He's been in love with her since 9th grade. She was the popular girl, and now she's like come back down to earth. Like, they are the typical unexpected pairing. And it's like the end of the first episode where he's like looking at that Oreo and he's like, so like, what if I asked you out sometime? And she's just kind of like, okay. Like, it's so precious, and they are really like leaning into that very good chemistry. So I get why the show was like, okay, we got it, this is our pairing. But over so many seasons, they just didn't handle it right. The main thing, in the same way where I'm like looking at the Finn and Rachel unexpected pairing, and I'm like, so is talent, is that what's keeping them together? Seth and Summer, I'm like, is just this bantering arguing, is that what keeps them together? Friends, Ross and Rachel, I'm like, is it like possessiveness? Is that what keeps them together? Because constantly they're actually not together very much. So constantly what they're doing is trying to sabotage their other, like their person's other romantic interest. And it's just really bad luck. And New Girl does this so well, where they take Nick and Jess dating other people, and they're like totally cool with it. Like, they're a little uncomfortable, but they're never do anything to mess up the other person's pairing. It's so much more of a believable friendship, and it makes you want them to be together because you know that they genuinely care about each other. And there's the reason I didn't talk about Jess and Nick in this video is because I do think they're kind of an unexpected pairing. But the thing that I feel like this is meant to, like, this conversation is meant to represent is like the trope of the unexpected pairing, like really clear-cut lines of like nerd and popular person, right? And I think that New Girl just doesn't fit into those boxes for really good reasons. And so that'll be maybe a different conversation, would be about Nick and Jess. But yeah, Ross and Rachel certainly fit into that. But then really what connects them over time is not a depth of friendship, it's like a possessiveness that they are each other's. Again, you have to kind of just trust, yeah, I guess they love each other and they should be together because they keep wanting that. Whereas I think a better dynamic would not make you question so much why they care about each other. And so I think with all of these pairs, what I'm noticing is that instead of kind of relying on an underlying friendship to bring them together, it's just them wanting to be together. That's the only thing they have in common, which doesn't I don't know if that really works in real life. I'm curious to see like what people would have to say about that because I love the idea of like two unexpected people being together. I think that's kind of what every love story is in a way, how two different people find themselves together. But I feel like there has to be some kind of commonality going on because when there's not, it just doesn't work. And that's why in the beginning, when Ross and Rachel are kind of just friends, it works. But I just feel like it very quickly falls apart where they're only seeing each other as like ex partners, and it's just not attractive to me at all. Okay, the final one I want to talk about is my favorite, and that's Sam and Cindy. Weird choice because all these other ones are like, again, played by adults or like these well rounded, kind of long, fleshed out stories. Sam and Cindy are just like a small stint in this one season TV show, and it's two kids that decide to start going out. And I don't know why I love it so much. I think it's because it's realistic. I think it's because even though it's short lived and there aren't a lot of like love confessions and all of these things, I think it's the most realistic portrayal of an unexpected pairing. So, okay, Sam and Cindy. Cindy's the cheerleader. The kind of unexpected part about it is the cheerleaders are, supposed to be mean and think that think that the nerdy guys are gross. But Cindy's just really sweet. She's always just like, see Sam as a friend, like, hey, how are you? Like, we should, go do this together, or I want to call you on the phone and tell you about my date. Like they're genuinely good friends. So again, rooted in friendship. That much is already kind of different from all the others, to be honest. Maybe that's what I'm learning. An unexpected pairing should be rooted in friendship. But then I guess it wouldn't be as unexpected. I don't know. Basically, Sam and Cindy develop a friendship over a period of time, and he has been in love with her the entire time, but just doesn't feel like he looks like the part for being with her. He's not like the basketball star or anything like that she's normally looking for. And so when they get together, I think the reason why it's so realistic is because they go out for a little bit and they are genuinely excited to spend time together, and then they do not enjoy it. Like, they do not have anything in common, and they're friendly to each other. They're both kind, but I think their breakup scene is my favorite because it is just so awesome. Like, Cindy's so frustrated. She's talking to him like he's her boyfriend of like many years, and it's just like, oh, Sam, don't do this to me right now. Like, I've got so much going on and whatever. And he's just like being very authentically himself, not playing into any of the drama. He's just like, I don't want to be your boyfriend anymore. I don't think we're having any fun. And she's really upset. And she's like, what are you talking about? Like, you can't dump me. Like, the only reason I'm going out with you is because you're nice. And it comes out, and a line like that is a line that, like, I could just see that being in Glee or, like, any of these other shows, like The OC, and it would just feel so just soap opera-y and inauthentic. But because Freaks and Geeks is so rarely doing that, they're so rarely, like, giving you a line that is exactly what the character's thinking, I think it really does land. And it's the first time we've ever really heard Cindy say something mean against Sam, or even just like, it's not mean is the thing. Like, it's not mean, it's just honest. And I just think the acting is so good. They're both like upset, but he's just like, well, I am nice. So it's not that I'm not nice. I'm not bringing up things I'm not nice. I'm just not having fun. Are you having fun? She's like, no, I'm not having fun. And it's just a really realistic breakup. And I feel like it makes them kind of seem like, oh, like maybe one day they would go back to being friends, and that's what they genuinely want because they were good as friends, but they just don't have enough in common to date. And they were kind of, it was based off an ideal of the other person, and that's, very common when you're young. It's naive, and it just doesn't work out, and that's okay. And I just feel like that, then they break up and they go their separate ways, and that feels so much more like healthy than any of these other relationships of these adults just constantly going back to each other and like unhealthy ways, and like, we don't have anything in common, but we should be together. And it just, it kind of doesn't make any sense. Like, the Sam and Cindy storyline makes perfect sense to me. And in a way, if it doesn't make sense, I'm not sure if it's like really that reflective of something that's real or relatable. So I'm curious to hear what other people think about unexpected pairings. Are they realistic and relatable to begin with? Like, is that possible? Is the only option that it's kind of the Sam and Cindy option, or are all these other ones, possible, but there's just a less dramatized way that they would play out in real life? I'm not sure. I'm gonna rank them not based on, oh, this is tough because I could rank them based on realism, but I feel like I already kind of did that as I was talking, and I think that's kind of self-explanatory, so I don't think I want to base them on that. I think I want to base them on how much I like watching them, which is totally personal preference, but I feel like it goes to show because I think my number one like couple I like to watch the most is probably Seth and Summer. And they are like definitely that more toxic dynamic, but the show sets it up in such a way that they want you to focus on the chemistry, not the plot, right? The plot changes every episode. The chemistry is what you constantly are coming back to with that pair. So I think I'm going to rank them as number one unexpected pairing because they're so much fun. And at the end of the day, if the point of a TV show's couple is not to be a realistic portrayal of human emotion, if it's supposed to be just be fun and entertaining, then like that's not terrible. And I think I'll take it. So I'm going to put Seth and Summer at number one. At number two, this one's tricky. I'm definitely in between two of them. This is hard. I think for number two, I'm gonna pick Finn and Rachel, which is crazy because I'm talking so much about how much I love Sam and Cindy, but I think I'm gonna pick Finn and Rachel because I mean, I gotta say, in part, probably like watching the adults on screen, and I'm referring to them as adults this whole time because all of the characters that aren't Sam and Cindy are legitimately adults playing teenagers, except for Ross and Rachel. They're just adults playing adults. But there is something kind of more compelling about two adults than the two kids. It's really sweet and like nostalgic, but it's maybe not like quite as fun to watch as another adult. So I guess that might be like some of my own age factoring in. But I'm going to say Finn and Rachel again for a similar reason. I don't think they make sense, but I think their chemistry comes in when they're singing, and I think that's super fun. So the scenes where they're just talking to each other and like that is not that interesting to me, but when they're singing together, again, the show found a formula that's maybe not the most realistic human portrayal, but is so fun that you're drawn back to it every time. I'm like, oh, I just need to see them sing a powerful love ballad again, like whatever it takes for them to get together so they can do that. They kind of got me hooked. Okay. So then three will be Sam and Cindy, because they do feel the most relatable and they're hilarious to watch. And there's something about a love story being funny that, again, is just so refreshing as opposed to the other really dramatized versions of high school love. So definitely Sam and Cindy in the three slot. Ross and Rachel are four. I feel like I wouldn't even get that much hate for that. I feel like they genuinely just did not stand the test of time. They do, yeah, they've got good chemistry. They are both like caring as characters, but I think the show just went on for so long that it was just so confusing to me to know like what the end goal was, like what was the happy ending we were looking for. Unlike all the other shows where there was kind of a clear to me vision of either like, kind of being entertaining, being funny, being relatable. I didn't quite get any of that with Ross and Rachel. It felt like it was just drama. And that just, I guess, for my personality is not the most appealing. I mean, it makes sense. Like, the stuff I'm into, the nostalgia TV that I watch is definitely more on the heartwarming, funny side of things. And that is totally Friends. It's just not totally Ross and Rachel. So they're going to be my four slot. So that's my rankings of unexpected pairings.